Well, today we had Powell testifying in front of the Senate. I was still able to find 3 trades or so to take. We're going to recap those right now. Small green day, we take those. Please sit back and enjoy this recap. If you didn't know, these are from my live stream, which happens every morning at market open, 8:30 a.m. Central Time on my main channel, Trades by Map. I'm trading my 20 50K Apex accounts. You can use code TBM to get the best discount always. Right now, it's 80% off each and every account that you want. You can get up to 20. So let's go and dive into the recap. Yo, good morning. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a good morning so far. And hopefully you had a decent day yesterday. Yesterday was a little bit of a snooze fest though, you know? After the stream I had 1 stop out on the stream for break even. I ended up having 2 more break even stop outs. I had 3 break even stop outs total and then landed a 20 pointer. Ended up trading an IBH retest, one of my favorite trades. That's what I took yesterday, and then got stopped out on it and then traded the overnight high retest, and that's the one that ripped. Okay, so let's talk about today. Currently we have a VWAP open. We are near all-time highs. We're like 20 points off all-time highs. That's still pretty close. Obviously ripping the last 5 days or whatever. 20,800 close around. VWAP open, usually pretty choppy open. Not a ton of size on the books right now. We also are in like all these candles are basically microscopic. We're at like a 4-point look across the board here, which is not good. We like 10 points on the increments. Whenever it's like 4 points, you just know it's going to be slow. Okay. What else? Today, news-wise, we got Powell testifying to the Senate committee. So it looks like we're gonna have some testification going on today. We will be watching that with Powell starting at 9:30. Usually they have Q&A, which is always the interesting part, and it's also usually super not interesting when they just get they don't even let them talk and they just push their agenda, which will be happening. But that's the way that politics work. But there's always a little bit of good stuff in there typically, and we will need to watch it because Q&As move the market. Let's see what else. I think that's it. So we're gonna watch Powell at 9 o'clock in some capacity. I'm open to taking trades before then. I'm open to taking trades while Powell's talking, assuming we have some form of volatility. If it's like yesterday, it's just tough. It's just tough to take a bunch of trades when you have a 5-point range. So hopefully we get a little bit more movement today. It's hard for me to think that given the current size of the candles and VWAP, but we probably have like a 40-50 point opening range, and then we go from there. But we'll see. We got 30 seconds, 45 seconds till the market opens. Good luck. Be smart, be patient. Today's the last day for 80% off with code TBM. Code TBM will always get you the best discount available, but the 80% off sale ends tonight at midnight, I believe. Or actually at the close, excuse me. So something to note there. And then I'm trying to think of other interesting things to talk about while the market gets ready to get opened. All over golf print shirt is getting very, very close to being dialed design wise. That should be happening soon. We're going to do an all over print shirt, a hat, and a t-shirt. The golf shirt, a hat, and a t-shirt. Boom. And make sure you press the thumbs up button down below because I do have a dad joke of the day ready for you. Sitting and waiting. All right, that's a 30-ish point opening range so far. Nothing crazy there. And that is a new run of all-time highs. You're right. Just like that, huh? Yeah, I stand by what I said yesterday. I stand by what I've said, man, the last couple of months, all the time, basically. I don't short all-time highs. I don't want to short all-time highs. Shorting all-time highs is rocket fuel for higher. Alrighty, so opening range ended up being 40 points. I think that's exactly what I said right before the market opened. 40-point opening range. Not a good sign. Alrighty, July 9th, dad joke of the day. Tuesday, July 9th. Why do hamburgers go to the gym? To get better buns. I was thinking to stay beefy. That's another good one, honestly. Yeah, to stay beefy, that could have worked very well as well. To get better buns, to stay beefy. All right, we just barely swept the lows at 20. I wish we had point of control go ahead and flipping down. I think it flips soon, but I'd be more inclined to snap long it.
Welcome, Chair Powell. Nice to have you back. Good to have you first this time of year. Ohioans know, Americans know that our economy fundamentally is not a fair playing field. Americans are frustrated. No, actually, Americans are pissed off. They have fewer and fewer choices. Those choices cost more and more. Another dangerous piece of the Wall Street business model that makes our banking system less safe is incentive-based compensation. This compensation model rewards risky behavior that enriches Wall Street executives in the short term, but makes banks more likely.
Do you actually agree with that?
We saw the results of that model in 2008. We saw it again last year with the failure of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature. Other regulators
I don't think I agree with that.
The proposal to rein in these reckless incentives, but the rule, Mr. Chair, can't move forward without your and the Fed's moving on it. Finally, Mr. Chair, you must ensure the Fed has high ethical standards. Fed officials should never again be able to profit from their positions by using confidential plans about Fed monetary policy and emergency programs.
Is he really talking about this?
And portfolios. The board's latest update to its trading rules is simply not good enough. It still fails to establish the clear penalties needed for Federal Reserve officials who make investments in violation of the public trust. A rule with no consequences is really not much.
What is he talking about with them trading?
To be able to trust that the Federal Reserve works for them in a time of deep cynicism that people have about the federal government overall. The American people need to know that officials aren't abusing their positions for personal gain.
Joe Biden broke this economy, and it's been very difficult. That's the bottom line. I want to start with the end in mind.
While we run the highs.
Weeks in the Joe Biden, wages were eclipsed by inflation.
I wish they could solve problems without it being election year.
That are coming our way. The headwinds.
Just pointing fingers. Like, stop pointing fingers and just solve the damn problems.
Headwinds.
The other guy talking about the Fed not trading when Congress and Senate are both notorious for having their trading be oddly good based on insider information is just baloney.
And the pointing finger, I tell you what, whether it's the Biden administration throwing the Fed under the bus or any other way they can deflect from the real problem. I've seen it, committee hearing after committee hearing after committee hearing.
And you're doing the same thing. I mean, it's like, come on.
Pennsylvania Avenue. For those who are actually watching this hearing today on C-SPAN, Basel III capital requirements are like taking your star quarterback, Dak Prescott, and telling him to sit on the sidelines because he just might get injured during the season. It's just plain ridiculous. Chairman Powell, it is essential.
Dak is wild. Why would he use that?
Governors and the other agencies join in this rulemaking, follow the law, do the homework, and then let the public check the work.
In the labor market, a broad set of indicators suggests that conditions have returned to about where they stood on the eve of the
26
pandemic.
or 37.
Strong, but not overheated.
37 being more aggressive.
The unemployment rate has moved higher, but was still low. Was still at a low level of 4.1% in June. Strong job creation over the past couple of years has been accompanied by an increase in the supply of workers, reflecting increases in labor force participation among individuals aged 25 to 54, so-called workers in their prime working years, and a strong pace of immigration. As a result, the jobs to workers gap is well down from its peak and now stands just a bit above its 2019 pre-pandemic level. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year. The strong labor market has helped narrow long-standing disparities in employment and earnings across demographic groups. Inflation has eased notably over the past couple of years, but remains above the Federal Open Market Committee's longer-run goal of 2%. Total personal consumption expenditures prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in May. Core PCE prices, which exclude the volatile food and energy categories, also increased 2.6%. After a lack of progress toward our 2% inflation objective in the early part of this year, the most recent monthly readings have shown modest further progress.
Nice.
Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored. as reflected in a broad range of surveys,
10-pointer.
households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from
That's
financial markets.
$3,920 across
Our
all 20
monetary
accounts.
policy actions are guided by our dual mandate
Clean 10
to
points.
promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. In support of these goals, the committee has
Pretty
maintained
simple.
the
Point of
target
control
range for
by.
the federal funds rate,
still
lowering
have 5 minutes
inflation
for
and cooling the
IB.
labor market over the past 2 years.
I'm not interested in longing this yet because IB is not set. If this was past 9:30, I would be more interested in this area, but it's a little too sketchy still. Matt, your trade was literally the 1 minute order block. Yeah. Just to quickly pause that too. It kind of makes sense, right? Like, why is this trade the 1 minute order block? Because people care about volume, right? So as we sell off into volume, it totally makes sense that we buy volume and then rotate it right below the overnight highs and then continue down, right? We don't know if we're going to reject the overnight highs or not, and that if we're going to go sweep the lows, which we ended up doing. But it makes sense for us to respond here. You know, like we had been kind of trailing up. And so the response off of point of control, off of current volume on the session, makes sense that we would have some, and that other people would have forms of interest off of volume, right? It's a very common thing to buy that. So buy volume, sell overnight highs, and then continue down.
Has risen by 0.5 percentage point over the past year. The number of job openings has dropped almost 50%. The hiring and quit rates are now below pre-pandemic levels. I'm concerned that if the Fed waits too long to lower rates, the Fed could undo the progress we've made on creating good paying jobs. Full employment is part of the mandate, as you say over and over. How are you assessing the risks of higher interest rates in the labor market?
So I completely agree with your characterization that the latest data do show that we've had considerable cooling in the labor market, and we're very much aware that we have two-sided risks now, as I mentioned earlier, and we're determined to balance those as best we can. Yes, although still growing at a solid pace.
Buckle up.
Unemployment rate is rising.
Body language.
Yes, it is, although the labor market is still strong.
Powell loves it, man. Look, he's smiling. Powell loves this dude.
Our labor market is slowing, is it not?
Yes, but I'd say unemployment is still low by historical standards. But yes, it is. We've seen cooling. Yes.
And I was looking at the recent jobs numbers. I know you've glanced at them too. Manufacturing's been flat.
Yes, manufacturing's not creating a lot of new jobs these days.
Information technology shed jobs over the past 2 years, hasn't it?
I don't know.
Leisure and hospitality jobs have slowed to almost a trickle.
That's a place where there was a desperate worker shortage, and they've done quite a bit of hiring, but they're catching up now.
I mean, three quarters of the jobs that are being created in our economy can be related directly or indirectly to our spending deficits, can't they?
Government spending.
Is this real, this guy?
That's
Dude, this is
something
nothing
Where do you
compared
think
to...
these hospitals get their
His
money?
last one was
They
insane.
may get it, but I mean, people
Actually
are not.
insane.
I would disagree with you. I mean, here's my point. We talk a lot about expectations in terms of inflation. How if we expect there to be inflation, we'll get inflation. It seems to me that consumer expectations.
Yes, he was
play
the
a
sexual
role-
allegation
a bigger
story
role
guy.
in the
Yes,
economy
Chase.
than we cede to them. Most of our economy in America is consumer driven, is it not?
Yes,
Unlike, say, China, which is manufacturing driven.
very much so.
And I listened to you cite the statistics about the economy.
I'm going to take a little stab along
Most
here.
Americans,
Got Delta holding up.
most Americans don't feel good about the
700
economy.
cycle level, IBL.
No, and
Fairly
we
cheap
don't
trade.
tell people how to feel about the economy.
I mean, isn't it a fact that most people, if you ask them to define Bidenomics, they would say that's easy. We get to pay more to live worse.
I wouldn't touch a
You don't want to answer that one.
sentence with that word in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can pretty this up all we. I guess my point is, and I know you're going to do this anyway, but I'd be really careful with this economy. I mean, people just don't feel better off today. And one can marshal a persuasive argument that, well, you should, compared to Europe or compared to China, compared to Canada. But feelings are feelings. People don't feel good about this economy. And it's primarily because of inflation. Let me use my final 30 seconds to ask you. I listened to my good friend, the chairman, give his opening statement. Do you think inflation was caused by corporate greed?
I hate to comment on something the chairman was speaking about.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, so I will just say, we see at the Fed, we see inflation as when there's an imbalance between supply and demand. And we use our tools to work on the demand side of that and bring it back into line with supply.
I got 2 seconds. So when are you going to lower interest rates?
I'm today not going to be sending any signals about the timing of any future actions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was very
Senator
tame.
Smith of Minnesota is
That
recognized.
was a very tame
Thank
Kennedy
you, Mr.
session.
Chair. Welcome, Chair Powell. It's good to see you again. I want to follow up on kind of the line of questioning that Senator Tester was on a bit ago. He was talking about how the U.S. economy has been outperforming other advanced economies around the world in terms of growth rates, in terms of unemployment, in terms of inflation, getting inflation under control, though I think we obviously can all agree that we're not.
I'm going to move this break even.
At least from my perspective, we're not.
I don't want to lose
We're
money.
not done yet, and we don't want to rest on our laurels. But I'm wondering if you could share what you think that we have learned from this experience. What have we done right, and why is it that we are doing better than some of the other advanced economies in the world?
I think that it's down to the fundamental strengths of our economy. So, as you may know, European economic officials are very, very focused on this question. They really, it comes up in all of our discussions. Europe has seen productivity increases of about 1% a year for 40 years. We've seen 2%.
That's
If you,
two
take a
trades.
number and
41.40.
compound it at 1%, then
Made a couple $100
compound it
there
at 2%.
on the stop out.
The difference is just enormous after 40 years in terms of incomes and living standards. And their question is, why is that?
This
why
is another
that?
cheap
And
trade.
The standard answer that
I'm going to go and take
Americans
it
tend
only
to give,
because
and
I'm
I would
interested
say,
in
is
the
it's
retest
down
there
to,
and the go.
more flexible labor markets. They in the pandemic, people they stayed in their existing jobs. In the United States, we had people changing jobs at record levels. And, that's the kind of thing that adds to productivity and contributes to rising living standards, going back to school, getting skills and things like that.
But it looks
Another
like I
one
get
is our
stopped out here.
financial sector. We don't just have banks, we have a highly developed ecosystem of financing sources that will fund early stage investments. Banks are really not set up to do that. They're prudentially regulated.
Stopped.
And
I'm up $90.
So those are some of the things. I think we just have these natural
turnaround. I wanted the
strengths
IBL
as
test
as
there.
an innovative, more flexible economy, we can grow faster.
Let me talk through both of those
Appreciate
real
that.
quick.
I think sometimes there's a
It's hard to think hard to talk while they're talking. Okay, so I took the long off of IBL. Ran up like 5 points. I took a break even there. We flushed it. Took another long off of the flush. Stopped below the prior low. Delta was holding up at the time. It's kind of making new lows now. It was a cheap trade that I wanted to take. I lost $120 per account there. Still up, what, $16.50? So I went from 4K to $16.50 off of the stop out there, but I stand by the stop out. I stand by the trade. Bouncing off IBL back into the range is what we saw all day yesterday. And so gotta take that trade if it's there. But we ended up flushing it a little bit. Maybe we flush lows and go run overnight lows. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm going to go ahead and hop out of here. I'm up $90 per account, 116.56. I have no intention of listening to this anymore. My ears are tired of listening to garbage.